So question number 2 worked out to be, good job, you guys are getting better at it, I think. So we'll go with 12x to the 6th, radical 3. Any questions? All right, let's see how you did on question number 4. Radical 3. Speak up. Number 6. Now this is the one where you had to rationalize the denominator. You had to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 11. You ended up with 2 radical 11 over 11. Any questions with that? What?
So on 7, how come we didn't do that for that? Like, how do you know?
Look at the difference. What's the square root of 16? What's the square root of 11? There is no. All right. Always try to simplify first. Try to simplify first. Number 8. All right.
7x squared y 4 radical 2.
You okay with that? Should be pretty standard now. All right, now here I'm hoping you look at that and just say 21, right? Everybody good on that? Now here, interesting. Square root of 6 times the square root of 12, there's a common what?
6.
So it's, all right, now with 6 and 2, there's a common what? 24 becomes negative 8 radical 6 plus 15 radical 6 minus 15 radical 6. Because remember, this is 4 times 6, 9 times 6, 25 times 6. And so your final answer is what? Right. Now let's look at 16. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. How many do we have there? Negative 2. And there is, so it makes it all together. And then plus 4. Everybody good with that? All right. Okay, this one be careful with. All right, 2 squared is 4. Square root of 3 squared is 4 times 3 is 12. Again, notice the difference. There's no addition or subtraction there. All right. So what about 20? All right. So right, 25 times 3, so it'd be 10x cubed radical 3. Everybody good? Okay. So any issues with that? Good, right? All right. I think that's the first page of the test. This is the second page. All right, dealing with all the radicals. So isolate first, right? All right, let's see who got this one correct. Let's answer 26. Anybody get the right answer? What?
It's x equals negative 6.
Nobody got it right? Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. No solution.
Because it can't be.
Oh wait, so because it's 6 squared and then 36 and negative 36.
Yeah, they can't equal to negative.
Square roots can't be equal to a negative. So when I say the square, when I divide, that is an easy mistake right there, guys. Easy mistake. Make yourself a note. All right? Square roots cannot be equal to a negative. All right? So no number you plug in is going to be negative 6. Okay, squaring both sides. Everybody good with that? Now setting it equal to 0 because it's quadratic. So far, so good. So x could equal, good job, guys. That's correct. Negative 5, remember, is the extraneous solution.
I just don't know when to do like that long problem or when to do like a multi. Like for the one,
When you have a square, generally that's going to require factoring. All right? 27, there's no square. Okay? Here we go. Squaring both sides. Put a star by this one. This one's a nice one too. When I square both sides, I get 4x equals 4x squared. Everybody good with that? Remember, this is in parentheses. I should put that there. All right, now it's a quadratic. Set it equal to 0. So 4x squared minus 4x equals 0. Factor out of 4x. So x could equal 0, or x could equal 1. No extraneous solution. But if you plug 0 in, what's 4 times 0? Square root of 0 is still, yes. All right? All right. Now the fun begins. All right. Find the exact area of a triangle that has a base of square root of 30 and a height of square root of 6. So area equals 1/2 square root of 30 times the square root of 6. So we agree there's a common 6, right? And then half of 6. So everybody see how that's 3 radical 5? Any questions? Okay, so if I multiply these two together, there's a common 6, right? There's a 5 left behind. See that yet? No. I'll show you again.
Oh, yeah.
You see it or not? Stop, Connor.
Oh, okay, 6 goes to the third top one. Okay.
See it now? Yeah. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're taking the square root of 30 times the square root of 6, and square root of 30 is, figure that. You see there are 2 6's? So 2 6's come out as 1 6. Right? Because there's a half in front. Because you're multiplying that by half. Alright? If the sides of a rectangle are 30 feet by 40 feet, the diagonal would have to be what? Without doing any work, you should be able to just tell me. 50. How do I know it's 50? Because,
3, 4, and 5.
yeah, smart guys. Listen to me now. And you don't have to see that, honestly. I'm just saying it's kind of nice if you know those 4 triples, Helps you out a lot. All right. So 3, 4, 5, multiply by 10, 30, 40, what? 50. But if you didn't know, it would just be 30 squared plus 40 squared equals c squared. 900 plus 1600 equals c squared. 2500 equals c squared, so c is equal to 50. You with me? Okay. 36. The length of the base of a triangle is 3 times the length of the height. Find the length of the base if the area is 54. So area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 base times height. And it says that the base is 3 times the length. So base and height, the base is 3 times the height is x, the base is 3x. That's how I like to look at it. So then it says the area is 54, so 54 is equal to 1/2, the base is 3x, and the height is x, so 54 is equal to 3 over 2x squared. Multiplying by the reciprocal cancels out the fractions, so 36 equals x squared, so x is what? 6. Now technically it could be plus or minus 6, but length can't be negative, so we don't use a negative. Everybody with me? All right. So the height is 6, but they're asking for the what? The base. So the base would equal 18 meters. Anybody have any questions with that? Yes.
Can you explain? I don't really know what you did after 54 equals 3x. What did you like cross out?
Well, what's 3 times half? 3 over 2.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is where this fraction comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I multiply by the reciprocal, right? And then 2/3 of 54 is 36.
The length of the base is the same thing as just the base.
Yeah, the measure of the base. All right, let's check out 38. The square root of 2 times a number is 7. Square both sides. 2x equals 49. So x equals 49 over 2, 24.5. Any questions? All right, the distance formula, super important. All right, so distance is equal to, subtract the x's. And it really doesn't matter what order you subtract, by the way. Or if you do 2 minus 7 or 7 minus 2. Why is that? Because you're going to square, and when you square it becomes what? Positive. All right? Thank you so much. Thank you. So 7 minus 2 squared plus 5 plus 5 squared. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What? Say it again. Okay. All right. So distance is equal to the square root of 5 squared plus 10 squared. Distance is square root of 125, right? And 125 is the same as 5 radical 5. Everybody good? Maggie, what? I did what's 5 squared, Maggie? Good, very good. What is 10 squared?
Okay.
What's 10 squared again? 100. Can you help with 100 plus 25? All right. So now, with that, let's move down to, did we do 42? All right, I guess I'll do that with my other class. All right, let's take a look at this. It's kind of the same though, right? Right? All right, now here, all right, it says the longer leg of a right triangle is 6 centimeters. Okay, everybody kind of put a star by this one because this one is kind of hard. All right, requires a little bit more thought. All right, so what I'd like to do is just for your own reference, you could put a make a triangle. And then you're going to label it. That says the longer leg is 6 centimeters longer than 6 times the shorter leg. So the shorter leg would be what? X. And then the longer leg would be what?
6 plus 1.
6x plus 6, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be 6x plus 6. All right, now please listen carefully because this is where some people made some mistakes. All right. Now it says the longer leg is 6 centimeters longer than 6 times the shorter leg and also 1 centimeter shorter than the hypotenuse. So because you guys are good at English, what are they referring to there? When it says and also 1 centimeter shorter than the hypotenuse, what is?
It's also the bottom.
What is? All right, so again, I need you to understand that because I thought that was kind of tricky. It's referring to the what? The longer leg is what? 1 centimeter shorter than the hypotenuse. That's how you should try to read that. Do you understand that? It's kind of confusing, but if you break it down into 2 sentences, I think it's easier to read. All right, so now someone tell me carefully what the hypotenuse would be.
6x plus 5.
Anybody else?
6x plus
6x plus 7. Right? Because the longer leg is 1 centimeter shorter, so that means the hypotenuse is 1 centimeter what? Larger. Does everybody hear me on that?
Mm-hmm.
So the hypotenuse would have to be what? 6x plus 7.
That means x is 6x.
Are you okay with that? You sure? All right, now the relationship between all 3 sides. The relationship between all 3 sides would be x squared plus 6x plus 6 squared equals 6x plus 7 squared. Anybody have any questions with that? What? I haven't done anything. The Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's a right triangle. So the leg squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. All right, so now the next step is to expand everything. All right, when we expand everything, x squared plus 36x squared plus 72x plus 36. Now again, most people say, how did you get that so fast? So please listen to me. Listen, when you're expanding a binomial, all right, I should say more specifically, when you're squaring a binomial, look up, please. The first term is always the first term squared. Do I get with that? The middle term, how did I get 72x? That's right. You did 6x times 6, which is 36. And if you remember, when you do your smiley face on that, there's always the same number twice. So a shortcut is to just say 6 times 6 times 2. What's 6 times 6 times 2? 72x. All right, and then the last one is 6 squared, which is 36. Are we okay with that? All right, so now if you're okay with that, you should be able to expand 6x plus 7 rather quickly. All right, so let's expand that quickly. All right, so what would that be? Okay. So again, if I were to expand 6x plus 7 squared, it would still be what? 36x squared plus what?
6 times 7.
Good. 84x plus 49. Is everybody okay with that? All right. Now again, I try to tell everybody, you're not learning if you're not trying it. You're not doing it. It's easy for me to sit and watch and put the numbers down on my iPad and move on to the next problem. You're not learning much at all.
I got 84.
Okay, what's 6 times 7 times 2? That's a pattern. So I'm expanding 6x plus 7. So if I do 6x plus 7 times 6x plus 7, what's 6x times 6x? Right? What's this? What's this? Which makes? Agreed now, right? But there's a shortcut there. And I don't care if you do the shortcut or not, honestly. It doesn't matter to me one bit. All right? So here we go. Now, we have to combine terms, all right? Now, before we combine terms, I'm always trying to make you a little better with numbers. So you're staring at 36x squared and 36x squared. What can I do to those? Just cancel them out, right? You should be able to look at 36x squared and say, that doesn't go. We're going to cross that out, and we're going to cross that out. So now I have x squared, which is a quadratic, so I have to set it equal to 0. So now I say x squared, if I subtract 84, I get what? Negative 12x. Then if I do 36 minus 49, I get what? Negative 13 equals 0. So x squared minus 12x minus 13 equals 0. Is everybody happy with that? Everybody good? All right. So now we're just factoring that into x minus 13 and x plus 1, 13 or negative 1, but we know that distance can't be what? So negative 1 is out. So I have x equals 13. So most people put 13 down when they took this standardized test question. All right? It's not 13 because we have to find the what? We have to find the perimeter, right? So now you have to plug 13 in. So if I plug 13 in, so it's going to be 13. 13 times 6 is 78. 78 plus 6 is 84. And we already said the hypotenuse is what? 1 more than, so the hypotenuse would be 85. So now the perimeters to add those up, which would be 169, 179, 182, I believe. 182 centimeters. All right? Absolutely. You better be ready. Now, again, that's considered a hard one. All right? I'm not going to kill you tomorrow. All right? Some of you, I'm telling you, you got to do the worksheet over, though. All right? You whine again, Jimmy? How many tests do you have tomorrow?
3. Math, English, science.
Wait, we have an English test?
Yeah.
What's the English test on?
It's
It's a
actually.
midsummer
Whoa.
night.
She didn't tell us that.
Shh. Here we go.
When are we taking them to college?
44. 44. Here we go. 1/3 the square root of a number is 12. 1/3 the square root of a number is 12. Right? So now isolate. I have to get rid of the 1/3. So x is equal to, or the square root of x is equal to what?
36.
36. And now square both sides. 1296. Is that correct? Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right. Number 46. 5 times the square root of a number is 30. 5 times the square root of a number is 30. Square root of x is equal to what? So x is 36. Well, what? Yep. Remember, again, the other thing I'm trying to remind you guys of is when you see something you're unfamiliar with, just look at the numbers. There's a 5 and a 30. How did I get 6? Divided. That's what I want you to be able to tell me. All right? Any questions? All right, let's move forward. 48. Now, I want to talk about 48. 48 is something that is not going to be on the test. All right, but take a look at it because it is kind of a nice introduction to three-dimensional geometry, which is a fascinating topic also. But it says, what is the length of each diagonal of a rectangular box with something that is 4 inches or 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters by 5 centimeters? All right, so here is kind of what they mean. All right, all right, I'm going to try to draw a rectangular box here real quick. All right, so there's my rectangular box. Not so great since I don't have my pencil with me. Now, what they're asking for, at first I thought they were asking for the individual diagonals, but they're not. They are interested in this length right here, guys. Look, from here to here. All right, that is the diagonal that starts in the top back corner and goes to the what? Front bottom corner. All right, that's what they want you to look at. All right, so do me a favor. I'm going to give you this formula, and then what I want you to remember is everything in two-dimensional applies to, guess what? Three-dimensional. All right, the formulas are the same. There's just an extra variable. All right, so if I had more time, I'd spend on this with you because I would show you this right here. I would show you how that just creates a what? It creates another right triangle. All right, it creates another right triangle. All right, does everybody see that? All right, so what I want to do today is, just in the interest of time, I just want to show you that the diagonal of a rectangular prism is d squared is equal to L squared plus W squared plus H squared. Now, does anybody see how I'm talking about that's three-dimensional? Because there's the what? Length, the width, and the what? Height. And it kind of looks like C squared equals A squared plus B squared, but in this case there are what? A squared plus B squared plus C squared equals what? D squared. All right? And if I take the square root of both sides, the diagonal is always the square root of L squared plus W squared plus H squared. All right? Now, generally, they don't give you that on a standardized test. They kind of want you to figure that out on your own. But I would like for you to remember, all right, that the diagonal is the square root of L squared plus W squared plus H squared. It's a nice little formula. I try to match it up and try to explain to you that it's kind of like the what? The hypotenuse in a three-dimensional figure. Because believe it or not, we live in a what? Three-dimensional world. All right, 2 dimensions are kind of hard. All right, so again, 3 dimensions is what they're asking for here. So today we have what? We have the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared plus 5 squared. And what is that? 16 plus 9 is 25, plus 25 is 50. So that is the square root of 50, correct? Which should be 5 radical 2. Which should be 5 radical 2. All right? That's not on the test tomorrow. That's just good information. All right? That's just good information. All right? So here we go. 50. We did 51, right? All right, so let me just slide this out of the way. All right, And now let's do 50, another practice with distance formula, which you can bet that's on the test. Distance is equal to the square root. When I subtract the x's, what do I get? 5. Anybody else get 5 besides me? When I subtract the y's, hopefully you got -6. Now be careful, please, because I'm going 1 minus -4, which is 1 plus 4. And then I'm doing -9 minus -3, which is -9 plus 3, right? So now 5 squared is 25 plus 36. So the square root of 61, and that's a good number because that does not break down. Square root of 61, brilliant. All right. Okay. So now state whether or not the given numbers could represent the lengths of a triangle. Now, if you're looking at this right off the bat, which one of those is the hypotenuse? 26. So you should, I would want you to look at that and say the numbers are 10, 24, and 26. So you should look at that and say, obviously, yes, because we know that 5, 12, 13 is a Pythagorean triple. And if I multiply those by 2, I get 10, 24, 26. So it's yes. Agreed? But if you're not interested in that, you're not good at memorizing, or you don't care about those 4 sets of numbers that I gave you, you would just do what? 10 squared plus 24 squared equals 26 squared. 100 plus 576 equals 676. 676 equals 676. So that is yes, it is. All right? Any questions? All right, straightforward, straightforward. All right, let's look at something else. All right, the fun problems here. All right, taken directly off the SAT and ACT. All right, it says for triangle ABC shown below, base AC has a length of 16. The altitude is the height, which is 8. The area of a certain square is equal to the area of the triangle. Somebody tell me what the area of that triangle is.
16 times 8.
Exactly. Area, very good, equals 1/2 times 16 times 8, which is 64. Do you agree? So if the area of that triangle is 64, the area of the square is also what? Which means the side length is what? 8. Come on, that was a nice problem. All right, very nice. Anybody have any questions with that? Square root of 64 is 8. Do you agree? All right, let's check out 58. Which of the following is the simplified form? Yes, this is on a high school entrance exam. Or I mean a college entrance exam. All right, unbelievable. All right, this is 2 radical 5, right? Minus what? 3 radical 5, which is negative radical 5. All right, hold on one second. All right, 58. Listen carefully on 58. What?
I thought negative.
No, they can. You can have a negative number. You just can't take the square root of the negative. All right, so let's look down here real quick. Now on this one, let me give you some advice here. Let m and n be 2 positive numbers such that m is less than n. Which of the following compound inequalities must be true? Now, let m and n be 2 positive integers. So you can make m has to be less than n. So just make m, for example, 3, and then n could be what? 4. And then plug the numbers in and see. Is everybody with me on that? All right, and I'll address that tonight, all right? So again, guys, I'll finish all these up tonight and add them. All right, good job today, guys. Study, study, study. Shouldn't be that bad, though. All right.
Wait, so we have an English stuff?
Yeah.